Hi everyone, it's Lisa of Whispers and Dreams. I'm going to start this video with a little teaser so you get a little bit of an idea of what's coming. I'm making something I believe is new, or at least the sum of the parts is new. So it's a combination of several techniques coming together to make a unique journaling or scrapbooking space. I've been through all the pain, a lot of pain by the way, of figuring out all the measurements and learning really the hard way which of my experiments didn't or did work. So please stay tuned and watch these instructions so you can easily make your own. So what we have here is a combination of different techniques. We have a flag book, which is this part here, which detaches from this. So this is your traditional flag book accordion style, and then you would place your flags in here. And this is an invisible paper clip here, which is where you're going to attach your flag book. And you might be thinking, well, what's the point of that, Lisa? What am I going to use it for? Well, there are many points to this, I promise you. If you're not actually familiar with the flag book, this is one I made earlier. And as you can see, you add the flags in alternate rows and it creates a really beautiful sculptural piece. But the only trouble with this is, what do you do with it then? I mean, it makes a beautiful card, it's a gift, it's sculptural, it's just nice to look at, but it doesn't have as much practical purpose as a junk journal does. So that's what got me thinking, how can I make this a bit more useful? How can I use it for writing and adding things? So I came up with the idea of maybe making a gratitude journal. And so what I wanted to do was have a place where you can write. So use the flags to write on. But then my thought process was, well, once you've written on it, then what are you going to do with it? Once you've filled it up, you're going to have to make another one. So I thought, how can I make this a little bit more practical? And that is what you're going to see in this make today. So that's your flag book part. And then as you can see, it is tucked in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create some invisible paper clips to tuck onto here, and then we'll have a small sheet where you're going to be able to write your messages on. And I think that this idea has got huge potential, and I'm already thinking about making it an advent calendar. So let us have a go at this one. I've got some different cards here because I'm thinking about making the hidden paper clips. So what are you going to need for this project? Well, first of all, you're going to need 2 long strips of paper. This strip here measures 14 by 60 centimetres. And this is going to be our accordion part. This strip measures 2 centimetres wider than the accordion part. I've just literally cut it from the same sheet of paper, so it's currently 60 centimetres. But it will be smaller. I can't tell you exactly what size you're going to need until you've made the accordion part, and I shall show you why in a second using one of the prototypes I've made. I'm just going to transfer into the other room to do that, but I needed a bit more space to cut out. So this sheet of paper was some mixed media paper, Daler Rowney mixed media paper that I've literally just splattered with loads of watercolours mixed up with some wet and dry paper, just to create a nice double-sided sheet, because you do need a very long piece, and I know not everybody has this length of scrapbook paper, for example, but that's why I've created my own, which adds to the fun, I think. I am going to have a little go at a prototype of using some smaller sheets and sticking them together, but let's get this first one out of the way first before we start getting overly complicated. What you're also going to need is 4 long paper clips. These ones are 5 centimetres, and 31 smaller paper clips. These are about 2.5 centimeters. Doesn't have to be exact measurements as that, but just roughly. So you need 4 of those and 31 of those if you're going to make a monthly gratitude journal. This is the prototype. It was, if I dare say, it was supposed to be the actual journal, but I had a bit of a common sense failure, followed swiftly by a sense of humour failure, and I messed it up slightly. But that's why I'm doing this for you. I'm making the mistakes so you don't have to. I think that should be my motto. So anyway, this is roughly what we're going to be making. So you can see, or turn it around, the right way around. It seals like this. Looks like a book at the back. And you can open it up. And we've got gratitude journal, and then we've got the flags inside. And this is the reason, this bulk in here is the reason why we're not going to cut the cover part until we've made the inside part. So we know exactly how big this area here needs to be. So this was as I say, this was a prototype, and you can see how I have created here invisible paper clips that clip on, and then you tuck your gratitude tab, tag, slip of paper, whatever, in here. And what of course I didn't realise was that by using a paper clip over the top, I've effectively sealed these accordions. So although you can flick, you will be able to flick through, it's nowhere near as practical as it would have been had I taken them off. So what we're going to do is we will be making these invisible paper clips. So I take them all, I'll take a bunch off and you'll see how it's going to work instead. And what I'll do is I will glue them on, and then you'll be able to tuck in your gratitude message to the glued side, to the tag. Okay, but then this bit here will still be able to open and close. Don't worry if none of that makes sense. It will all make sense as we start the work. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to make our accordion fold. Now, if you've never done one of these, follow along. If you have, you can jump forward a bit and I'll join you momentarily. So what you need to do, you've got your long piece of paper here. It doesn't even fit on the camera, so it's 60 centimeters. But soon you'll be able to start seeing what we're doing here. There's a bit of a loose bit needs to be cut off there. Okay, soon we can make this little baby a bit smaller. Right, so first of all, we're going to fold it in half. And you're going to get your bone folder. Very, very important that you have something like a bone folder or a spoon or a blunt knife so that you can really go to town burnishing these creases. So that's the first side. Then we're going to take this up to the center line. So we're folding it in half again. This is the easy bits. Then we take this to there. Okay. Now it starts to get a little bit more complicated. So as you can see, we've got a big gap here now. So what we need to do is take this crease up to that crease. So you just literally fold it up to there. Okay. And then you can fold again. So we're going to take this crease up to this crease. Okay, this one to this one. The first few times I did this, I got in such a pickle, and now I can't see how I found it difficult. So if you do find it confusing, just slow the video down, watch it again, and I promise you'll get it. So it's this one up to this one. You do need for this some reasonably thick paper, because it's going to take a bit of wear and tear. The way this folds is important, which I'll show you later, but at this stage it doesn't matter because we can flip the folds around. Okay, we're going to repeat the whole thing on the other side. So that was the easy one, so we just folded it in half again, so that's into a quarter, and then okay, and then we're going to lift this one up to the center. Okay, this one is going to go to there. This one. Well, I think I missed one on the other side, the end one, but we'll go back and do that in a second. Yeah, I missed one. Thought I had. Right, final one. There. Okay, so if you remember from the prototype, this is another prototype. I'll show you on this one, it's easier. So if you remember, this tucks in, it's going to tuck in there. So you need to decide which side you want as your front. So this side's far more interesting, so I want this to be my front, so that needs to be flat like that, so you have your first mountain fold like so. So now if you just fold everything up, make sure, oh, I've missed another one there, make sure that everything is make sure everything's burnished and neat. That is now going to slot in to that piece there when we make it. Easy peasy. Right, next we're going to make the hidden paper clips. So these will glue on, and then we'll be able to stick in our gratitude messages. Now you have to make a decision, and you have to think about your maths. I want this to be a roughly monthly gratitude journal. However, 31 being a prime number does not lend itself easily to having equal gratitude slips through 7 mountain folds. So this is how you're going to work it out, okay? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And each of these mountain folds will have alternating gratitude slips on each side. So it makes it easy to go for weeks, because obviously there's 7 days in a week. So then you can have 4 gratitude slips on each of these mountain folds, and that makes the whole thing nice and easy. What you could do, if you prefer to have 31, which obviously makes it easy for however many days in the month you're doing, then you would have 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5. But that is, it kind of jars. I don't know about you, it just doesn't feel right. It's not going to be as aesthetically pleasing. So I would advise you, let's go for weeks. Okay, so we're going to do 1 week at a time. There's a cat about to appear on camera. Let's just see, here she comes. There we go. Don't mind me. I'm just trying to make a video here. Come on, out of the way. So now we've ascertained that we're going to make 28. We're going to need 28 of these little paper clips, and we're going to need 28 strips of paper. Now again, this is going to be personal preference as to the size of the hidden paper clip that you're going to be using here. This is a prototype just to give you an idea. So I've measured this out. This is 12 centimeters, which also happens to be the same height as this. These are two and a half. So what you're doing, if you've never made these before, is you're going to take your paper clip and you're going to make a fold approximately the same height as your paper clip. So you pop the fold on like that, and you put the paper clip on. You turn it over so you've got the short side, and you fold that up, and you've got a little tab there. And you fold this top bit over, and this here is now where your hidden paper clip is. And then you can use this bit to tuck inside like so. And then you'll take it apart and you'll glue it together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this and glue it onto our accordion folder. So that was just a prototype to show you, but I'm going to measure out now 28 of these, and I am going to make them 12 centimeters long and 2.5 centimeters wide, because I'd like them a little bit thicker than this. And I'm going to use the same style paper that I've done here, so the whole thing's going to match, but you can do whatever you want really. Something contrasting perhaps. Grab some scrapbook paper, that would look quite nice. I ended up using the a piece that was 12 centimeters wide, and so to get 4 to fit in here nicely, 2.5 centimeters wide is going to fit in here nicely with a little bit of a gap either side. If you wanted it to be tight, obviously you would do 3 centimeters width, but I want a little bit of wiggle room. Look at all these yummies, look at that. I'm going to make 28 hidden paper clips with this little bunch. I have made one already, ta-da! And that is going to sit like that. Okay, so I am going to make them all. I'll make one more on camera, I'll make the rest off camera, otherwise you might well be bored to tears. So once again, we measure, that's the length of our paper clip, so we're going to fold here, and the side that is currently on the inside is going to end up on the outside, so you'll see that in a second. If you've never done this before, there's my bone folder, here it is. And the beauty of this tuck-in method is that you don't actually need to do any gluing, which when you've got to make 28 of the things, it's a bit of a bonus, isn't it? Apart from the gluing onto the actual accordion folder. So there, we folded it over. I did it a bit quick, didn't I? Let me slow down. I've made so many now, I just get carried away. Okay, so we fold it over, long side. This will eventually be on the outside. Turn it over. Fold up to this crease here, so you're matching where the paper clip ends on the short side. Fold it over again. That's where you're going to tuck in. That folds up, tucks in. There. 28 of those, please. I'll see you when you're done. There we go. 28. Oh no. 26. 2 more to do. They were hiding. Darn them. Anyway. 26, 28, we're nearly done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to lay out how they are going to look on here. Okay, bearing in mind we're going to be sticking something in, we need to have that facing upwards, and we're going to alternate. So we're going to go 1, 2, and then the other side 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And if, like me, you've got something colourful like this, you might want to think about which ones go where, or you might just go with the flow and see where they land. Once you've done that, then it's time to get the glue out, and all we're going to do is stick them on. And you can measure carefully if you want this to be very precise, so that you have equal gaps between each of these. and you want it to look nice and neat, or you can just eyeball it. I'm undecided. What shall I do? I kind of like a bit of eyeballing. Do you know what? Life's too short to keep measuring everything, isn't it? And then once they're in, then we can think about what we're going to do for our little gratitude slips. We'll call them slips for want of a better word. So we could have something like this that would fold up and then tuck inside as our flag slip. A flip. That's, I was about to say something rude then. Oh my goodness. Yeah, let's just call it a slip flag. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to figure out where all these are going to go, and then I'm going to glue them on, and then we're going to create some little slips to go in. But having it plain and simple, like a white piece of paper, oh no, that's far too boring, isn't it? So we'll make something a bit more interesting, but also at the same time something practical for writing on. But it will be made of lighter paper than this card, because you need to be able to fold it easily and tuck it in. Okay, so just be super careful to make sure that you're gluing these on the right way. So we want two going this way, two going this way, and you need to make sure that your paper clip is there so you can tuck something in. Check twice, glue once. This lovely pattern. Get attached to your papers, don't you? Even if you haven't made them yourself. This whole project has taken me absolutely forever, with all the prototypes and the going wrongs, and yeah. Made the first prototype, thought I knew it all, and then carried on with my actual make, and then of course messed it up by thinking I could have double-sided hidden paper clips and not realising I was going to seal everything. And how I'm alternating everything. Look at that lovely pattern. Bye-bye pattern. Wow, doesn't this look cool? I'm rather pleased with this. So, it looks pretty neat. It works. And I do believe I've put them all the correct way round, which in itself is a small miracle. So I think that's going to do for today. I'm going to have a bit of a rest, and then I'm going to come back tomorrow and start to make the little slips that we're going to use. Hi everybody, I'm back, and I have got everything ready for the next stage of the make. I'm making the flags, which are going to tuck in to the hidden paper clip sides. So here's a little prototype. And now, how you make these is entirely up to yourself. But I wanted to be able to write a decent amount on my little flag. So I've created a little fold up slip here that is decorated on one side and plain on the other. So they can write inside here, fold it up, and then tuck it in, like so. And to do it, despite the fact that I have an absolute craft store full of paper that I've bought, now I decided I was going to make my own so that it kind of matched what I've already done here, but I wanted it to be a little bit different. So I have taken some fairly thin paper. It's a bit heavier weight than your standard laser copy photocopy paper, and it's got a slight gloss to it as well. So I've flicked it with watercolours, but instead of using the normal watercolours that I've used on this, I've used some iridescent ones. So as you can see, there's a nice little sheen to them. And then I've cut them into 3 centimetre long strips. So I've come in with the distress inks just to give it a little bit more texture, a little bit more depth, going around the edges. And then I'm going to fold them all up and tuck them in like so. But as I say, you can do whatever you want here. You could just have a simple slip that you write on. You don't have to have folded one. You can have different lengths. Up to you. But this is the look that I'm going to go for. So I'm going to get all of those done next. I'm not going to do them all on camera because that will be a bit tedious. But I'm going to make more than 28 because, as I've said, I'd like this to be a gratitude journal that you can use over and over again. So once we've filled up 28, then we start again. So I'm going to make a whole load, and then when we make the cover, just as a reminder, that's the prototype, I'm going to make some kind of pocket or some means of storing the spare slips. So let's crack on with that. Probably don't need to show you how to make these. You know, literally I've just cut them out and then I'm going in with some inks. You can use stamping, you can do whatever you want. This project is entirely up to your own imagination. You don't have to copy exactly what I've done, but I'm just telling you what I've done to give you some ideas. One other thing I thought about actually, before I forget, is what you could do is you could mark 1 to 28 on these. So you could handwrite, use a rubber stamp, do some embossing, whatever, cut out something and stick it on if you want to get really fiddly. So I might do that, I don't know, probably not, to be honest. I quite like them as they are. To make life easy, so I've made the first one, and I can just measure out where I want the crease to be. So it was on 7 centimetres and 14 and a half. So I can fold, sorry, that way, fold. So I can just do the same thing with all of this massive pile, zip along, and then I can easily do my folds. So I would probably recommend that as a speedy means of getting your work done. And then you can just sharpen those edges out with your bone folder. You could do something fancy with these ends if you wanted to. Maybe add some washi tape, some lace, or anything like that, really. I mean, what I'm really loving, to be honest, about this project is the fact that there are going to be so many different variations that you can do with it. You can use different papers, different sizes, different flags. So I'm very excited, and I'm going to make an advent calendar. I do know that much. I went out to Hobbycraft, which, if you're in the States, it's probably the equivalent of Hobby Lobby, I'm guessing. And I bought some really nice paper this morning, and I shall have a bash at that once I've done this version here. As if by magic, they have all been neatly folded. Now, the idea is, at least the idea that I will be following, is that each day that you write your gratitude slip, you add it in. So I'm going to create, as I mentioned earlier, a little pocket or some means of storing these until they're ready to go in. So then by the end of the month, the 4 weeks rather, you will have the whole lot added in. But this is just to give you a bit of an idea of what they look like when they're in. So I'll just pop a few more in. And then, as you can see, it's forming our flags. That's going to look really pretty when it's finished. Now we are ready for the next stage, which is making the cover. So if I go back to my prototype, you can see what we've got here are the 2 hidden paperclip folds plus a spine. Now this, don't look too closely at this one because this was prototype time, so it's slightly different to how it's going to be when we do the proper one. Yes, because I've learnt along the way. Let's make the cover now. There's our accordion fold. Here's the prototype. So we're going to make this part here that tucks in both sides, and then we're going to measure to figure out what size spine we're going to need. So we've got all the invisible paper clips stuck inside, And then we know we're going to have 28 pieces of paper in there as well. So we want to measure, and holding it tight, about 3 centimeters. So allowing it to fill out a bit, I think 4 centimeters should be sufficient. It makes me laugh slightly that this is a project about gratitude, because I need to be grateful for having a calm temperament today. I have measured and cut and failed and measured and cut and failed, and I couldn't understand what I was doing wrong, but don't worry about it. I figured it out. So now I can do my demonstration with what seems to be like, I don't know, the 10th, 11th piece of paper. Luckily, I was doing many of my practices on little bits of scrap, but it has been mildly frustrating, to say the very least. So anyway, I'm going to give you my measurements so that you don't have to do this wrong. This piece of paper here measures 50 centimeters long, and this is going to fit in perfectly in a similar fashion to this one, which clearly I had forgotten how I'd made it and measured and all that stuff. Okay, so we're going to make, sorry, apologies for all this smashing about bits of paper here. We are going to make the hidden paperclip folds, leave space for a spine and another hidden paperclip fold. And I'm going to give you all the measurements now. Okay, so we are going to go, right, which side do we want as our front? I think we'll have this. I like this. We're going to go 5.5 plus another 4. This is centimeters to 9.5 plus another 4, 13.5 plus a half. Okay, we're now up to 14 on that side. Turn it round. Repeat. 5.5. 9.5. 13.5. 14. So that's 14, 15. Okay, I'm just going to repeat that on the other side. Grab your paper clips. 2 for each side. Now before you do your folding, we're going to burnish up these creases, and then we are also going to add in some eyelet holes for our closure. I'll tell you what, if I've done this wrong again, I may just have to retreat into a dark corner for the rest of the day. Yes. If you're wondering what these little bits are, you'll see in a minute. It's easier to show than it is to explain. Okay. Nice and carefully. I don't want to have to make this again. I can tell you. Now if we refer back to the prototype, you can see I put these eyelet holes here, which are the back of the paper clip. It's going to show you where you're going to put the eyelet holes, and it's easier to just do a quick demo of how the paperclip part's going to be. So this is going to be our inside, so your first fold goes towards the outside, and your short edge of the paperclip goes there. Then we're going to fold it like that, and then fold it over again. And these marks I've made here are pretty much just decorative, so it's just so that you're getting a nice pretty edge there, and then a nice line there. I just think it looks nice and neat. Okay, so our closure is going to be here, and then if you open up you can see it's actually right here on this edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out 1 centimetre in from the edge. You're not going to see this, so you don't need to worry too much about your pencil marks. And on. And then I'm going to come in with my crocodile and I am going to make the holes, insert the eyelets. If you don't have a crocodile and you don't have the means to do eyelets, just make a neat hole with a hole punch or with a skewer or an awl, and get yourself some pretty ribbon to thread through. On second thoughts, I thought actually it works much better if you do 2 eyelets, like I did on my prototype, so that you can make this nice, attractive way to tie the bow. Otherwise you have to take it out and tie it around the side of it. So let's pop this in now, figure out how long we want it to be. So you start from the back, feed it through, and then what you're going to want is enough length to tie a bow at one end and a bit extra to tie there. So that should be plenty long enough. Let's cut this off. I'll just measure this just so that I know how much I've cut off. Looks to be about 35 centimeters. I think it's probably going to be too long, but it'll do for our test run. So we're going from the back like so, and the other one. And then I'm going to have my longer length on this side. I'm just going to tie that off. So this is going to be one end. So I'll just measure out 3 more lengths at about 35 centimeters and do the others. Now let's glue everything together. So we'll reassemble our paper clips. So we do, that's the inside. So I'm going to fold this that way. Short side on the inside. We get our glue. So we're going to glue this side. This is the short side paper clip. I was just double checking there. I'll tell you, I cannot make this again. I really cannot make this again. And then this is going to fold over there. And we've got our nice little neat spine there. Okay. And what I'm going to do is just give this a little bit of colour on the edge. Just feels a bit white on that edge there. Just gently burnish over those edges that we've created for the spine, just to help them pop out a bit. Really like those, they look really nice. Okay, now what you can do here is you can glue this completely down. However, because I've got this design here, I don't really want to make it too squished flat, and also have the option of a second tuck spot. So I'm going to pop some glue down the sides. And then press that gently down there. Just so that I'm keeping that nice end there. You might want to pop a couple of paper clips or something, or clips in to hold this in while it dries. There, and we're going to repeat on the other side. It's all dry, so we're ready to assemble. What we need to do now is create the spine fold. So if we check again, that's about comfortably how it's going to fit in there. So I think a centimetre down each of these sides will be perfect. So I'm going to come down this line here, and this line here, and then I'm going to fold in here and here. So now we can add in the flag book, slot it in there, slot it in there, and then carefully close. And you can tie it up with your ribbons. The first one's a little bit of a fiddle. This is where you need somebody with an extra finger. And then the second one. There you have it. So all we need to do now is add in our little slips and find a way to keep them safe. So one of the ways you can keep them safe is, of course, to tuck them in this little slot here. So you can grab a bunch. They'll have to go in sideways because obviously you've got this fold here, but you could pop some in there. So that's one way you can keep them safe. Or we can add a little bit of a pocket on the back. So I've got this piece left over here, which is exactly the right size. So what I'm going to do is trim it and make some little tuck spots. So what I'll do is I'll make several layers, and then I'll cut out a little tab so that we can pop some in there as well. I quite like that you can hide them all over the place. Let's decide which side we like the best. I quite like this side. So that's going to be the bottom one, and then we'll have one a little bit higher. I don't think we need a third one. I'm going to glue these on the back. And then we can tuck these in here as well. And then I've made a similar piece to go inside. So then you can tuck in here. So I'm just going to glue down here. So there's lots of little places where you can store your little slips. So we can pop a couple in there as well. I've popped some in there, and a bunch in the back. So let's make our final assembly. And then write our very first message. Not sure if you could read that. It says, "I am grateful that I finally finished this project. I learned a heap along the way, notably about the importance of careful measurement." So we'll pop this in as our first little gratitude for this journal. There we go. And then I can carry on filling it out throughout the month. So that's it. That's our finished piece. It looks lovely when you open it up, and you can, it's so tactile, and there's just so many bits that you can play with and look at, and I think you'll agree it's something very different. I certainly have never seen anybody make this before, so I really hope you have a go. The next one I'm going to do is a festive one. I'm going to make an advent calendar. So I'm kind of excited and a bit nervous as well, because I don't have any scrapbook paper that is the right length, so I'm going to try and figure out how to join it together in such a way that it looks neat and still works really well. So please stay tuned for that. But thank you. This is what it looks like, full of its flags, finished off and tied up. And then to open it, we'll just loosen off the seal. And isn't that lovely? I just love this to bits. I'm so pleased with it, and yeah, I just love it to bits. I'm so pleased with it. I think it looks marvelous. I can't wait to fill it up. Thank you all for your patience. Thank you for watching along with me. I really hope you've enjoyed this and that you have a go, and hopefully you won't make all the mistakes that I did along the way. And I hope that I've given you enough instruction, enough measurements to make this a joyful project. Thanks everybody. See you soon.